Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jim Marshall, the New Bedford Cable Network. So Erik Rousseau, the administrator for the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority, is with us. When Erik came on to do a show with us a couple months ago, we decided that it might be a good idea to do a show about going on the bus. And so we're doing it today. I think it's a good way to show the service that you provide and the buses and just how convenient it is for people to get around in the city of New Bedford. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect today.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see today is, initially there will be probably nobody on the bus, and that's because we're going to be starting at the beginning of the line. And as we go downtown, you'll start to see the ridership build up and people getting on and people getting off. And you'll see how easy it is to access the bus from the bus stops. And hopefully we'll have a nice smooth ride on one of our new buses. You said during the show when we were talking, really the most important thing for you from your standpoint is you want to be efficient, but being on time is important and just showing the reliability of the bus. Absolutely, yeah. The most important thing that we can do is communicate to our customers when we're going to be where we expect to be. So if we're running early, that doesn't help anybody because now you've adjusted your life around a schedule that we're not meeting and adhering to. So we try very hard to never be early. It does mean that sometimes we're a little bit late, but we tend to make that up. And getting through all of the bus stops as quickly as possible helps the passengers' experience so that they're not on the bus for 2 or 3 hours. We really try to get you from point A to point B as efficiently as possible.
So Erik has us taking the 1013 bus to the terminal, and one of the things I want people to do, you sent us the schedule yesterday, which was good, but we're going to put up the schedule here, or at least the link for the schedule that people can check out.
Yeah, so we do have all of our bus schedules on our website. You can get printed schedules at our terminal upon request, and we also have a mobile app to help you with the timing of our vehicles.
It's time for us to get on the bus. It's in the background. We'll see you on the bus. So we finally got on the bus. We are here in the nice, shiny new silver bullet buses, if you will. Tell us a little bit about these buses because they are beautiful, very clean, very, very nice looking.
We're very excited. We have hybrid vehicles now. We've got a few already in service, and in the next few months and years, we'll have up to 40 hybrid vehicles in service. They're going to be an excellent gateway into the future technologies, whether it's battery electric buses, hydrogen fuel cell buses, which will be the wave of the future as we move into a green New Deal.
Why are these buses important? What do they do for you, for us?
For the community at large, we are going to be reducing the greenhouse gases that we're emitting. For the authority, we will be saving on fuel costs. And just as importantly, our mechanics and our bus drivers will get to learn how to drive this style of vehicle, a high voltage vehicle. It is different for a technician to work on this type of vehicle, so it's a really good opportunity to learn before we get into all electric or fuel cell electric vehicles.
We picked up the bus, by the way, from our south end, right at the intersection of Rodney French and Brock Ave. It's a busy stop, I know, in the summertime, as I mentioned, because you see people coming down to the beach here and using that. So what is this route, just for people that might be watching?
Yeah, so we're on the Fort Rodman route right now. It's the 201. This route has probably been in operation longer than anybody who's been alive in New Bedford. I can say that with almost certainty. Most of our routes are basically running on the old trolley lines. And it's happened that way because all the development developed around those original trolley lines.
And Coral Street.
So if there's nobody at the stop, will the bus stop?
From time to time it will if it needs to hold back on its time. But for the most part, we've paced it in a way where they can continue through and hopefully get to the next passenger, let them board, and then continue on to the terminals usually.
One of the things that I find interesting is it must be hard to see some of the people, if there's cars here, that are waiting for the bus.
It certainly can be. So right now we do have bus stop signs that have limited information, and that's the first indication that what a bus driver is looking out for. And then we're looking for people that are kind of milling about around that bus stop or that bus stop sign. In the future, we hope to have, or we will soon actually have, new bus stop signs that provide more information.
And the great thing is, as you mentioned, I think you were just talking about, these bus stops have been here for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we are working on a redistribution plan for our bus stops to, again, speed up the passengers' travel through the system. But we don't want to reduce any access to the bus system at all. So it may mean that we move a stop a little bit here or there, but we're not going to be eliminating any access to the service.
And as you're sitting in the bus, you're hearing the automation system telling you where the next stop is and where to go. This is like this for all the locations where you serve as well.
That's correct. Yeah, we serve 10 communities. We span from Swansea to Mattapoisett. We have a tremendous amount of people that ride between Fall River and New Bedford every day. About 10% of all our ridership happens on that one bus line.
The one thing too that I think is interesting is we're taking the bus here and we're going to the terminal. But if you're looking to go to Fall River or Swansea or UMass Dartmouth, it's important to know that the bus, you're going to go to the terminal. That's the hub.
That's correct. Yeah, so our system is set up as a hub and spoke system. So typically, if you have any trips that you're traveling through, you'll get to the terminal and then connect to your destination. So you can ride from the south end of New Bedford all the way to the Fall River terminal for one fare.
And that's the thing is, you're promoting too, is that the cost is really, it's not prohibitive. It's easy, it's a good deal.
Yeah, so the cash fare is $1.50. And we have a number of pass products that really make it more affordable. So if you're going to ride the bus twice in a day anyway, you could buy an all-day pass for $3. And then if something changes during your day and you need to ride more, you don't have to pay anymore.
And you were talking off camera too, which I thought was interesting, was that students, that's a busy time for you because students do take the bus. And I'm sure that's when you're talking about time, that's important.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a lot of students that ride the bus. The high schools often ride with us. Bristol Community College is one of our busiest stops. UMass Dartmouth is incredibly busy. We have a large international population at the university, and they love to use the bus. So we try to make it available as often as possible and as affordable as possible.
One of the things that I think is interesting too is that how many buses are there at a given time that are in operation?
So our peak service is 53 buses throughout both systems, so that's New Bedford and Fall River, and all the communities that are connected in between. At our lower point, it might be about 43 buses operating at once.
So, I mean, depending on the bus, depending on the time, you could have a lot of people on the bus, or you could have a few people. You just don't know on any given time.
Yeah, so we do keep track of when people are riding, and what's important to understand is that some of those shoulder trips that you're talking about, early in the morning, late at night, those are the last trip home or the first trip out. And so you may not have a lot of people, but you need to have that available so that people can ride, and then they ride through the day.
Well, you were saying too that what I think is interesting is you mentioned right now your priority is Sunday service, which I imagine, people don't start moving around on Sundays.
No, we don't roll up the highways on Sundays. We don't turn off the lights at midnight on Saturday night. So we need to have bus service 7 days a week. 7-day-a-week service is important in a 7-day-a-week economy.
And especially in a community like New Bedford or Fall River, that are cities that are really 24/7. The bus service, the bus lines are important for people to get to and from work, especially work.
Absolutely. We have a lot of people that do ride with us to go to work. We have people that ride with us to go to religious services. They ride with us to go to see friends, to go shopping. We should be providing as much access to our communities as possible. And this infrastructure of a bus system is a vital part of doing that.
So we're heading on County Street now as we head again toward the terminal, and you've got more people right here at the bus stop. I'm surprised because, like I said, you hear people saying, "Oh, there's never people on the bus," but when are you looking? When are you watching it? That's the thing that's interesting.
A lot of times, if people notice the bus when they're in their own cars, they're just getting a snapshot of what's happened. They got that 10 seconds, that 5 seconds of what they think they saw, and all too often, it's either too dark to see in the bus so they can't tell, But really, we've got a number of people here right now, and they're traveling through to all points north or west or east. So it's wonderful for us to be able to provide the service.
There's a lot of seats available on the bus, and I notice obviously there's hand guards, if you will, that allow people to stand if you've got an overflow crowd.
Yep, absolutely. So most of our buses seat about 30 people, and we've had upwards of 60 people riding on a bus at any given time. It just depends on what's going on. If you've got a big event going on and you have a lot of people all at once, you can safely move with people standing on the bus.
And it's not, again, it's not as though the bus is going tremendous amount of speed. I mean, you're making stops and starts and you're in some narrow road, so it's not like the bus is speeding.
No, not at all. I mean, the average rate of speed is about 18 miles an hour when you take into account all the stopping that we do. The average travel speed's usually probably about 25-ish miles per hour through the cities. You might be able to go a little bit faster if you're on some wider roads.
The terminal, there's a lot of different routes to go to. Once you get to the terminal, you got to figure out if, I'm sure though that once people figure out, it's almost second nature to, I'm taking this, and then bang, I'm wherever I'm going.
Absolutely, yeah. And we do have some pretty good signage now at our terminals that let you know what buses are coming in and at what time, and that really helps you to identify where you need to go.
And for people watching too, we just had a couple people get off, so it's not like they're going to the terminal. They're going wherever they're going. You get on and get off wherever you need to go, depending on where the stop is.
Yeah, many of our bus routes are actually interlined. So you could have a one-seat ride from the south end to the north end of either city. And once customers get accustomed to which buses are interlined, it helps them to plan better so that they can make their trip in one seat from point A to point B.
So we're actually in downtown now, right near the bus depot, so we'll be getting off, and you'll introduce us to a couple of folks.
Sounds good.
All right, we're talking to Kelsey Beauregard, who's the operations manager for Serta.
Yeah.
So we just had our first bus ride.
Great. How
Very,
was it?
very nice.
Good.
It was very,
Glad to hear it.
very quick. Tell me a little bit. I know you're relatively new, as Erik was saying.
Yep. I just
Why-
started in January.
Why did you want to work for Serta?
So I was actually in college looking for a part-time job. Highest paying job on campus was being a bus driver. So I got a job driving buses and fell in love with the transportation industry. So I started in Western Mass driving school buses, city buses, and then I made the transition to school buses for a little bit, but I always missed the city buses. It's a little bit of a different animal. So when I saw the posting for the operations manager for Serta, I was really interested and decided to apply for it and was lucky enough to get it.
The bus, as we were driving, the bus filled up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this operation so efficient, but why is it so important to the community?
Yeah, it's definitely very important. We do our best to give, our community access to public transportation, get them to where they need to go. Owning a vehicle is very expensive between fuel and insurance and all of that. So having the public transportation is really important.
Yeah, you said you started in January too, which is great. And I know that obviously, what would you tell people if they're looking for work? Because it seems as though, and I was amazed that there's over 200 people in this operation. Mm-hmm. There's obviously jobs that people can get, and why should they work here?
I've been very happy since I've been here, and we have a lot of different roles that people can play. We have our ticket agents, we have our call center, we have our operators and drivers, and then we have our supervisors too. There's a lot of different avenues that people can explore and look into. I know driving big buses can be very intimidating for some people, but we have part-time positions, like I said, as ticket agents. That's a good foot in the door. You get experience, you learn the industry a little bit, and then it's a really good stepping stone to explore more.
Operations manager, what is that? What do you do?
So I oversee the daily aspects of everything bus related. If there's any concerns, people have questions, our first role is our ticket agents and our supervisors, but if there's bigger questions, I jump in and help out wherever I'm needed. I see my role as making everyone else's lives below me easier. So whatever they need, that's what I'm looking to jump in and help for.
One thing I think is perception is probably the biggest challenge that the organization faces, in that once you go on your first bus ride, in a sense, it makes it seem, oh, this isn't really too bad. It's pretty easy, It's pretty simple, and I can get from point A to point B cheaply and
definitely.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, it can definitely be really intimidating to take that first ride, but our awesome ticket agents are always happy to help. If anyone has questions, give us a call, stop in our terminal, talk to any of the smiling faces with our high-vis jackets for safety, and everyone's always happy to answer any questions. Like I said, it can be intimidating, but once you take your first ride, your second ride, it starts to make more sense, and then you go from there and you realize it's not that hard.
Thanks, Kelsey. Nice talking to you.
You too. Thank you.
Marty, tell us a little bit about your job and what your role is here in this organization. I didn't realize there were over 200 people in this organization, but tell us a little bit about your role.
So, bus operations are basically what our role is to hire and support bus operators and give them all the tools that they need so that they can do their job successfully, which is to operate in a safe and courteous manner for our customers and get them where they need to go on time.
And that's a challenge. There's no question about it, although I was amazed at how quickly and how efficient, when we jumped on the bus down the south end to get here, it went very smoothly, and the bus was pretty full.
Yeah, 201 is one of our better performing routes. I'm very proud of the employees that we have here and the job that they do. Traffic conditions are never easy. We don't control those, but we've gotten used to it over time, and so the buses are scheduled fairly well. We've got great tools for our customers. We have apps so that they can see where the bus is, when it's going to be there. Our drivers are watched constantly and supported very well. Really can't speak enough about how good a job they do.
How big a sales pitch do you think it is? Why should people take the bus? What's your message to folks to take this service?
Well, first of all, it's a huge money saver. People that take public transit save, on average, over $9,000 a year. Wow. And those are older numbers. With fuel prices today, it's probably much higher. The other great thing is you don't have to worry about parking. You don't have to worry about damage or theft for your vehicle. The bus is there and operated by someone who knows what they're doing. They're professional. But also there's a wonderful benefit for the environment. Every bus takes 70 to 80 cars off the road. When you look at that bus that's out there operating, if you think of all the people that they carry on any given day, those people, the impact to the environment of a single or even multi-use passenger vehicles, instead taking the bus is just phenomenal for the environment. It's a great benefit, and nationally, more people should be taking transit.
Let me give you a little chance to plug too. Why should people are looking for work? Why is this organization a great place to work?
In the South Coast, we have always been an employer of choice. People have been lined up to get a job driving a bus with us for years. Great benefits, great teamwork, a lot of support, generally a very good culture. We work very well with our union operators. It's a union job, which is phenomenal in these day and age to be able to find a job where you can get into a union and have those types of protections. The wage rate is very competitive for the South Coast. Bus operators can raise a family, buy homes, which not every blue-collar job can do that. We've maintained a good place in the workplace. So I think The other great thing about being a bus operator is it's a great calling to serve people. You know, everybody's mother and grandmother eventually ends up riding the bus. Sorry, not driving them, but some of them do.
Yeah.
But you know, that social calling to provide service to the people that need it the most is another great benefit. And a lot of our bus operators take pride in the fact that they're out there, you know, giving support, just like the policemen and firemen do.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alrighty.
Take care.
All right, we spent quality time at the terminal, and we're heading back now down to our cable access studios where the Brock Ave stop is. Lots of activity at the terminal, though. I mean, as you said, it's the hub where everything goes.
Absolutely, it's the heartbeat of our service in each city. People are coming in and leaving just as quickly a lot of times, and sometimes they have to wait around a little bit to make their connection for their bus. But there is always a lot of foot traffic for sure going through our terminals.
What is sort of the message you want to give people today about the service and why it's important to take it? I mean, like I said, I know for Dan and myself, it's our first time doing the bus, but it's sort of educational. I think, it was said that the first time or the second time you take it, it gets easier to take and smarter, actually.
Yeah, every time you take it, it does get a little bit easier, and it can be intimidating when you're looking at a bus full of people that tend to seem to know where they're going to try to make that first step. But if you can, it's a great opportunity to save a little money for your household budget, help certainly the environment a little bit, and you get a chance to relax. Us as the passengers in the bus don't have the stress of driving our own vehicles. We have great drivers that are out there every day and ensuring that we have the safest possible transportation.
One of the things I think, and you touched upon it on the way to the terminal, but I think it's good to remind folks too, as far as the schedule goes, I don't think there's a place in the city that isn't close to a stop, but how do you know where those stops are?
Yeah, so we do have maps that are available, but we now have an app as well. So the Bus Tracker app can really help you hone in on that, especially for new riders. Seasoned riders, they tend to know exactly where to go. But that app does help it make it more accessible as we attract new people.
And I think that's important because I think some people that are watching this are saying, oh, I'd like to take the bus. I don't even know where to get it. And again, you don't have to go to the terminal to pay for it or anything else. As you said, there's ways online to do it now that make it easy. But again, it's that first step.
First step, yeah. And if you're even apprehensive about trying out a new app, our information is actually available on Google Maps as well. So if you were trying to search from your starting point to your destination, one of the options is public transportation, and it'll give you our scheduled bus routes.
And I think it's important, you've talked about it on the way here, but I think it's important to reiterate, if you are a student, if you're going to UMass Dartmouth, if you're going to Bristol Community College, you don't have a car. You're looking at classes, and a lot of kids I know are looking at classes right now to try to sign up. There are ways to get to the school. You don't have to be intimidated and say, oh, I don't have a vehicle, I can get there.
Yeah, exactly. And those popular areas, we try to make sure we have really good service to. I mean, we have great service to the hospitals, all of the different medical facilities around. So there's lots of options out there for where you can go and how we can take you there.
How about night service? If you're working a late shift, if you're taking a late class at one of the schools, how about service after 6 p.m.?
We do have some routes that do. We don't have enough. We need more routes that run later into the evening, and they need to run, even the ones that we do have need to run later still than what they do right now. But we do have 4 routes in each city that run until about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then the intercity bus finishes up around 10 o'clock. So there are options out there, but we do need more.
What is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now as an organization?
Really, it's usually budgetary. I mean, that's just a perpetual thing. we've really done a great job of hiring recently, so we're always taking applications. That can be a challenge as well, but making sure that the service is reliable. That's our greatest focus, and that starts with making sure the bus is on time and that we have good quality vehicles that are operating out there.
Where do you see, again, the buses, you got a mix and you're looking to expand more. Where do you see the organization in 3-5 years right now?
Well, right now we actually provide the third most passenger trips in the Commonwealth for regional transit authorities. I don't think we'll be able to get up to second. Worcester is pretty far ahead of us, but there is opportunities for us to continue to grow our ridership, and that comes from being reliable, available, and having the right days of the week. We need to run all 7 days of the week. We need to run late enough into the evening and early enough in the morning.
What would you say so what are the times that in general the buses are in operation? When you say early in the morning, what are the first buses out there?
So we, similar to our evening service, we have a couple of vehicles that are out there pretty early. Your first bus can leave at 5:20 in the morning, but that's not every bus for every route. So it kind of builds and crescendos through the day, and then kind of peels off again at night. So we would like to see more earlier, so that people can get to those earlier jobs. Or if you live in Fall River and you're working in New Bedford, you can get here for a 7 a.m. start, and vice versa. And some people work third shift too. So how do you get to that job? How do you get home from that job?
Are you optimistic? I mean, it seems as though nationally there's been more of a push on transportation and regional transportation hubs like Serta. Do you find that that's going to continue?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've been very lucky to have great mayors in both New Bedford and Fall River who have been supportive of transit. We have a fantastic legislative delegation that has worked hard to bring new resources to the authority. And for the first time and for as long as I can remember, we have an administration in the governor's office that really is focused on regional transit authorities and not just thinking about the MBTA.
I got to admit, I was very surprised. As I said, it was my first visit on a bus. Very quick, very efficient, very full.
It was a busy day.
It was a busy day. I mean, that's what happens every day on these buses.
Absolutely, yeah. We're providing about 10,000 trips a day right now. So it's going to be busy. And there was a lot of happy people that were riding through with us, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you.
We already talked about your challenges coming up. What's next for you guys as you're looking down the immediate future here?
Right now, we're actually continuing to work on our capital plans. We're trying to bring in more buses as well, above and beyond what we already have secured funding for. Working on ensuring that we have the high-quality service that we've been performing for the past few months. Hope to continue 7-day-a-week service. It's really the most important issue that we've faced in the time that I've been here in over 13 years. So we've got our work cut out for us, but we're up for the challenge.
For folks who have questions, and I'm sure that, again, I still think, as you said, and everybody said, once you take that first or second bus ride, it gets easier. For people who have questions, the website's great. How can they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, going to our website is the easiest way to find the information. Our phone numbers are on there. If you prefer to use email, we have info@srtabus.com that's available. You can call and talk to our great staff at 508-997-6767. So we're here to help, whatever we can do.
And the ticket agents, as we were talking about at the depot, they help too if you have questions.
Absolutely. Anybody that's there, like Kelsey said, with a bright high-vis vest on, they're there to help. So feel free to ask.
Eric, I want to thank you. It was a great experience for us, and I think it's an eye-opener for a lot of people that when they watch this.
We're happy to have you anytime.
That's going to do it. I'm Jim Marshall, the New Bedford Cable Network. My thanks to Erik Rousseau of the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority for joining us. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.